All right, week 7. You guys are on the down stretch of this class. Let's talk about budget. Again, the governor's going to release his final budget probably on Monday. So that's a good thing to look at and have a little bit more knowledge of. You can find information on this on ebudget.ca.gov. That's the state of California's, from education point of view, the whole budget, and he breaks it down into different parts. So if you don't want to know information about K-12, or you don't care about what's going on for the drought, they've broken it down so you just go to the section that you want to hear about, or the section you want to read about. And one of the big things that he's doing this year, because we have more money, because we have more revenue at the moment, they're going to close the funding gap by 53%, which is huge for us. That means all the money that they've owed us in the past, they're going to start buying that down. So a lot of money coming into the district, so that'll be great for us to get maybe some technology. Well, that's what I care about, getting the technology upgraded. Because of Proposition 38, it'll be a $24 billion amount that comes back to K-12, and it's supposed to be used for professional development, induction. Why induction? Because we're going to be getting a whole bunch of new teachers. People are starting to retire, and we need to get people into the profession. Purchasing materials and technology to make sure that teachers have everything they need to teach Common Core. So those are the things it's supposed to be spent on, not buying more people, not buying more. In education we have a lot of things that we don't use, and I think we really need to be careful when we get this money of what are we actually going to use that does something for kids. I love math manipulatives. And every time that we buy a new math book, we get a big tub of math manipulatives. And many teachers use them, and a lot of teachers let them sit and collect dust. And unless we, make people use them and see how they're used in education, it's kind of a waste of money. So we got to be careful with how we spend our money. ADA is going to go up significantly, almost double. That's the first time in forever that that's happened. So we'll be getting a lot of money, but hopefully we use it well and we have good plans for spending that money. Okay, that final release should be tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. You'll see it all over the place if you're on FCAT, or if you're on the any kind of budgeting news. I've told you a couple of places where you can sign up and they'll give you like e-releases. That'll be coming out tomorrow. Okay. This week we're reading chapters 13 and 14, so about facilities and food. Facilities is tricky. You may ask your principal how things get fixed around the campus, and they're probably going to say we do it by a work order system, which they won't be happy about. Now, I work with a guy in maintenance and facilities, and he's not happy about how people put in work orders a lot of times. They'll come in and they'll say, fix something in room 13, and it's not specific, and so they'll wait until the work order is specific, or it tells them exactly what they want to do, or what they're supposed to be doing. And a lot of times what we think is critical may not be what's critical to the maintenance and operations department. For example, we got one campus that's just, the paint's peeling, it looks awful, it looks nasty. But that's not as important as a plumbing problem. And you may not know about that plumbing problem at another school, but when that toilet's backed up and things are a mess, that's #1 priority. During the summer out in the desert, #1 priority is air conditioning, because if the air conditioning goes out and those little kids are, the 105 degrees in the classroom, that's too hot. Parents start complaining, so air conditioning, and right now is the time that they'll start blowing. They haven't been on all year. We'll start turning them on, and they'll start blowing. Air conditioning in a classroom as compared to air conditioning in a server room. You want mad parents? You want to have to replace hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology. You got to weigh those two. So what we think is important may not be what's important to maintenance and facilities. So think of how repairs are done on campus. Ask your principal about it. And then what do they do when things don't get done? Because that's important. How they built those relationships, and how do they, if something doesn't happen and they put the work order in, what do they do then? A lot of times people just ignore it because they think, oh, I don't have the power to fix this. So what do? I like to think of that show, Love It or List It. If you've ever watched that show, and the homeowners, they've got this old house and they want to fix it up, or they want to buy a new one, and whenever they go in to fix something, they're always like, oh, we didn't tell you, but the electrical is all blown out, so all your budget is going to be spent on that. Or as we dug in your foundation, we noticed that the footings aren't deep enough, and so we have to spend all your money on that. And that's kind of what it's like with old buildings. You'll get in it to think you're just going to fix this one thing, And then you've got, well, asbestos problems, or you've got plumbing problems, or foundational problems that you didn't think you had to repair, and they cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So your district should also have a master plan for facilities. So you might want to look at that and see what is the plan for repairing schools. Which schools are in line first for getting things done, and why? Why did they pick those schools? Okay, we had a group go over food services, so I'm not going to go in depth because they did an excellent job. Not a whole lot to cover besides what they already did. The other thing that you do have to remember is it is federally mandated. It is a very strict program. You don't get to go around it. There was an article recently online that's had this cafeteria manager that was fired for giving away food. She said, the food's going to waste, I want to give it away, and it's fired and made big news. Well, anybody that works in a school lunch program knows that's the truth. That's the truth. That what kids don't eat gets thrown away, and it's not recycled. It's not given to, at the moment, it's not given to the homeless shelters, and it's heartbreaking because a lot of times the kids won't eat the fruit, which you think, gosh, why don't kids like fruit? But maybe in their households they're just not used to it. So you'll see all these apples and oranges being thrown away, and you think, such a waste. But until the mandates change, you don't get to change them because you will be fired. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's how the system works now. Maybe if enough of us say, hey, we'd really like to take at least the fresh fruit and give it to the homeless shelter, so at least it's not going to waste. It's a great plan, but it's not something we do right now. And so we have to follow those mandates because you'll be in a lot of trouble real quick. The other thing that I'm seeing a lot more of at schools is the outsourcing of the food service. Having people come in and prepare the meals is extremely expensive because you got to pay people and you got to pay benefits and you got to pay when they get hurt. If you outsource it and buy the food from someplace else and then have people that come in and serve it, a lot cheaper than having people in that are baking or making things every day. So I imagine that we will see a lot more food outsourced in the future. All right, you have this week to do discussions and next week to do discussions. If you have found that you've lost points or you forgot to do one, the way you can make up those points is to take one section of the textbook and write up one page, not 5 pages. One page, doesn't have to be AP, doesn't have to be referenced. Just show me that you've read part of the book, and I'll give you credit for the discussion on that. And then you're getting ready on your final budget that will be presented in week 8. All right, guys, have a great week.